Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Canton City Council. I would also like to welcome Madam Clerk Jill Wood to our first meeting. Congratulations. If everyone would please turn their cell phones to vibrate. We're also encouraging social distancing here in council chambers. With a quorum being present, the chair calls this meeting of Canton City Council to order. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Smuckler. Babcock.
Here.
Schulman.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Kimbrough.
Here.
Scaglione. Smith.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
Mariel.
Here.
Ferguson. Morris. 8 present, 4 absent, Mr. President.
Leader Babcock.
Mr. President, I move we excuse Member Schmuckler, Member Scaglione, Member Ferguson, and Member Morris from tonight's meeting.
It's been moved and seconded to excuse Member Smuckler, Member Scaglione, Member Ferguson, and Member Morris from this evening's meeting. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smuckler. Babcock.
Aye.
Schulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione. Smith.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Mariel.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris. 8 present, 4 absent, Mr. President.
The motion carries, and Member Smuckler, Member Scaglione, Member Ferguson, and Member Morris are excused from this evening's meeting. Tonight's invocation will be given by Council Member at Large, James Babcock. If you would all please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Dear God, we seek your help with our affairs today. Bless this council meeting with your divine intelligence and help us to make the best use of our own. Sometimes we are a diverse opinion here, yet we wish to mend our differences and reach agreements satisfactory to all. Please share a little of your wisdom with us to help us do right by all concerned. Thank you for your heavenly blessing. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Majority Leader. We are now under agenda corrections and changes. Leader.
Mr. President, I move Rule 22A be suspended to add second reading ordinances 13, 15, and 16 to this evening's agenda. Ordinance number 14 will be retained in committee.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend Rule 22A to add second readings to ordinances 13, 15, and 16 to this evening's agenda. Ordinance number 14 has been retained in committee. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock. Schulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher. Hall.
Aye.
Mariel.
Aye.
8 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries, and ordinances 13, 15, and 16 are a legal part of your agenda. We are now under public hearings, and we have no public hearings for this evening. We are now under old business, and there is no old business for this evening. We are now under public speaks, and we have 2 speakers for this evening. Our first speaker is Miss Kimberly Bell. Ms. Bell, could you please step forward and give us your name and residential address, please? And I would like to remind you that you have 3 minutes. And Madam Clerk, is the mic on? Okay.
My name is Kimberly Bell. It's 1733 North Avenue. 1733, Kimberly Bell, 1733 Morris Avenue, Canton. I want to address a few issues. I gave you all a copy of a paper I wrote because I help with the drop-in center on Saturdays with the kids program. So we picked the kids up at Mahoney Manor, and one of the kids said, I hear, kids tell all their business. So they back there talking, and the one girl said, we slept on the ground, me and my brother. And it dawned on me, I sleep in a nice, queen-size, comfortable bed, and these kids don't have beds, and it's too much money the city has for the American Rescue Plan for these councilmen and women to find out which public housing that is in their district, to see if these kids, visit the public housing in your district, like Ellisdale, Mahoney, Lesh, wherever you're at. Visit those places and walk around those areas and find out what those kids need. It's no sense you all and myself go home to a warm, comfortable bed. It's not that their parents aren't neglecting. The money they get once a month don't pay nothing but the bills, and the kids are growing. They got to provide shoes and clothing and coats, but we need to make sure these kids have beds to sleep in. I mean, we go home to our comfortable bed. Now, when that child said that Saturday, when I got home and got in my bed, I thought of them. So let's do something different and check on these families in public housing. Not that they're neglecting the kids. It's just some people are less fortunate than others to buy new bedding or to buy a table to sit down at the table and have dinner. And another thing, let's get the focus off the Hall of Fame. It's built and it's in the progress to be whatever it's going to be. Let's focus on something else major other than that Hall of Fame. That's dead in the water. Get over it. Let's see what else I got here. Oh, it was another shooting, Mr. Bigums. And his mother owns the water filtration place on Cleveland Avenue. Her son was killed. And we got to do something about these guns. If you focus on the black issues such as poverty, gun violence, jobs, and fair prison convictions, everything else will fall in place. Focus on those things in the black families, and I promise you, we will all live a better life, and these people won't have to be burying their sons or daughters and the person that was killed and the person who did the shooting. I mean, that's a whole bunch of family members and a whole bunch of issues that's going to take place after they find out who killed that man. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. And our last speaker for this evening is Ms. Lisa Ash. Ms. Ash, could you please step forward and give us your name and residential address, please?
Okay, my name is Lisa Ash, also known as Ari, and I live at 2326 14th Street, Northeast Canton.
And Ms. Ash, you can pull your mask down to speak if you would like.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now this is about what happened to me. I went to basic accommodations on Cherry through ICANN, thinking I would receive help for abandonment issues and COVID isolation. I had a roommate, kind of like we shared like a common space together, and we had separate rooms, that was aggressive, getting in my face, accusing me of stealing used items from a church of hers on numerous occasions. Now, the place was supervised. No one would do nothing about it. They said I had to handle her aggressiveness on my own, do something about it. The staff was corrupt. I had reason to believe things were missing from my room, expensive things like hair pieces and chopped up. They wouldn't do nothing about that. I Wednesday filed menacing charges on file for Stacy at Canton Police, for one of the good police. Jocelyn Williams and Stacy Sparks at ICANN were aware of the conflict, and I told them I was not going to pay them $4.95 to live like that. Stacy had paid nothing for 2 years straight. These people, I didn't know they were mentally, criminally insane, or had she been denied her disability. So she's fake. And her window was going up and down, some type of organized crime, selling ice out the window. Now, Stacy is in the hospital in severe MRSA infection from infected needles. But the moment I responded to her and lifted a window and the outside that was already open and broke a small candle holder that was old from a church, I was arrested on felony 2 burglary charges, although there were 2 people there, a serious police officer and a guy working there, and he made a joke of it, like, "We're calling the police." They were jealous of my vehicle. The new furniture fooled me into thinking I would have help. I moved new things in there, nice things in there. They set me up to lose everything, including they wanted me to walk out of jail with not only get those felony charges on me, but have absolutely nothing but the clothes on my back. And I got a no bill. I was there 40 days, in which I got very sick and have been sick in and out the hospital the remainder all summer, and have just now been cleared to go to work. I just know it's a toxic place. It's through ICANN, under Jocelyn Williams, Julie Sparks, and the people at the basic accommodation, preying on people that have disabilities, making them feel that it's some type of an apartment, and you put your vehicle on there. They wanted everything. In fact, they had loosened the wheels. They're just very corrupt people. And I just wanted to make you aware of it. It's on 830, Cherry Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ash. We are now under informal resolutions, and we have none for this evening. We are now under communications. Let the journal show that all communications are received as read. We are now under ordinances and formal resolutions for their first reading. Madam Clerk, would you please begin with ordinance number 1?
An ordinance accepting the annexation of the territory known as the Skyland Pines 2021 annexation area, containing approximately 5.561 acres, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Refer to Annexation Committee. Number 2, an ordinance designating the zoning for the territory known as the Skyland Pines 2021 annexation area, containing approximately 5.561 acres as I-1 light industrial, and assigning the territory to Ward 6 and declaring the same to be an emergency. Refer to Annexation. Number 3, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public safety to enter into agreement for and accept $131,181.25 from the Department of Homeland Security to Assistance to Firefighters Grant, advertise, receive bids, award, and enter into contract for the purchase of the Cascade System for breathing apparatus for the fire department, and enter into contract for purchase of said items in accordance with any procurement process authorized by law, authorizing the auditor to rename the 2775 Safe Neighborhood Heroes Grant Fund to the 2775 2020 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Fund, amending appropriation ordinance number 49 2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency. Refer to Finance. An ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into a design and or construction oversight contract for the Market Avenue South Streetscape Project, GP 1319, amending appropriation ordinance number 49 2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency. Refer to Public Property Capital Improvement and Finance. Number 5, an ordinance amending appropriation ordinance number 49 2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency. Refer to Finance. Number 6, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into a funding agreement in the amount of $5 million with the Canton Community Improvement Corporation, amending appropriation ordinance number 49 2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency. Refer to Community and Economic Development and Finance. Number 7, an ordinance authorizing the Canton Board of Park Commissioners to enter into a professional services contract with MKSK Inc. in an amount not to exceed $49,000 and declaring the same to be an emergency. Referred to Finance. Number 8, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service or their designee to establish the fair market value of real property, enter into agreements for the purchase, acquisition of these parcels, enter into agreements for the sale or donation of city-owned property for permanent road right-of-way, utility easements and or temporary construction easements for the Allen Avenue Southeast Area Sanitary Sewer and Water Line Project, GP 1332, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Referred to Environmental and Public Utilities and Finance. Number 9, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, director of public service, or Canton Board of Park Commissioners to enter into a design contract for the Crenshaw Park Shelter Project, amending appropriation ordinance number 49/2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency. Referred to Finance. Number 10, a resolution approving the statement of services to be provided to the property owners in the Broadway Avenue 2021 annexation area. The approximate date services will be provided, procedure to reconcile incompatible zoning uses upon its being annexed to the city of Canton, Ohio, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Refer to Annexation. Number 11, an ordinance authorizing the hiring of Mr. Derek Lloyd to fill the position of supervisor of pump and supply maintenance in the water department at an annual salary of $70,000 and declaring the same to be an emergency. Refer to Personnel. Mr. President.
At this time, the chair would declare an in-house recess for the Finance, Environmental, and Public Utilities, Annexation, and Personnel Committees to meet in regards to ordinances 7 through 11 on your agenda this evening. You are now in recess.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is 7:17. We'll call Finance to order. We have ordinance number 7, an ordinance authorizing the Canton Board of Park Commissioners to enter into a professional services contract with MKSK Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $49,000 and declaring the same to be an emergency.
For the record, I'm Doug Foltz. I'm Canton Park and Rec Director, and I'm here to answer any questions about this, but I'll give you a little background. We did have a priority improvement plan and strategy consulting interview process that was done in April. Those attended were myself, Commissioner Joe Grzina, our city engineer Dan Meglin, our planning director Don Angus, our purchasing director Andy Roth, and I don't think the mayor was able to attend, but he was at previous meetings when this was discussed. So what we're looking to do through an evaluation process, we had interviews and we picked MKSK as the consultant we prefer to do a planning and strategy involvement for our parks. As you know, the main corridor and stadium, monument, waterworks, Mother Goose Land, and city fields that go down to 9th and Schroyer are a great asset to the community. It's our main thoroughfare through the heart of our city. And what we hope to accomplish with this study is to provide a polished strategy and planning process. We will involve the public. Council people are welcome to be involved with this. I have ideas myself that I'd like to push forward for the agenda for this. I think it's a win if we have this study done, that we can present it to the Stark County Foundations, apply for other grants, and it'll just provide a finished product for us all to get behind and look for additional grant revenue to fund it. So I'm here to answer any other questions you might have on that.
Anybody have any questions? Any idea how long the study will take to complete?
I would say it's a 3 to 4 month process. Probably we'd expect to get it done sometime in late winter, so we'd be ready to go, hopefully, with our budget for 2022.
And we spoke a little bit before. Thank you for, you indicated that ward council people would be involved in this, so that's a very important thing, and thank you for that. Any other questions on this?
Yeah. Doug, I'd like to thank you for your leadership, and you need to be applauded because it can only get better. You know, it just, you've done a fantastic job of the parks.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the mayor's leadership, administration, you know,
the 8th floor, we are working together, council members. I'm more than willing to go out to every ward and discuss the park projects. It's not all about that main corridor. We're working very hard. Just to give you a little update if I have time. You know, Lee Park, we just put swings in Lee Park and put play curb and just really revitalized that whole playground area. Bryan's Park was just a new playground and swings installed there 15th and Roland. So that just happened within the last month with the swings. And there's more that we have to do. It's on the agenda for Crenshaw Park, which I'm excited about, a new shelter. That's going to be really a catalyst for other involvement with the park itself and the Peel Coleman Center. So there's so much that's there for us. We're updating our restrooms. It's taken a long time to really bring us back. We haven't spent a lot of money in the parks, unfortunately, but with everybody's support here and with 76% of the residents supporting our park levy, that gives us the opportunity to plan for the future, and that's what's very exciting. That's all everybody's leadership here, not just the park or the park commissioners and the great staff that I have. So I thank everybody here also.
Member Hall, did you have a question?
Yeah, I didn't really hear. So you're saying from Fulton all the way to Memphis?
No, we're going to 9th and Schroyer. So that would involve Babcock, Kurtz, McCoy Fields, 9th and Schroyer. We have a wonderful skateboard facility too that we continue to improve with a great family there, and that's a catalyst in Northeast Ohio. People come from Pittsburgh to go to that, and that's something we're doing very reasonably just with material money and a little bit of other park and levy funds. So
great. Any other questions? All right, we'll sign it out. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We have one more for you too. Ordinance number 9, an ordinance authorizing the Mayor Director of Public Service or the Canton Board of Park Commissioners to enter into a design contract for the Crenshaw Park Shelter Project, amending appropriation ordinance number 49/2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, this is a continuation of ordinance 170/2020 that was voted on and passed last year, whereas a small portion of Crenshaw Park was being sold to SARTA for their expansion project. Unfortunately, there was a delay in SARTA actually being able to kind of consummate the transaction. That has now happened. So what we're looking to do here is what we talked about a year ago, is we're looking to reappropriate the $300,000 that was appropriated a year ago and then enter into the design contract for the design of the new pavilion and kitchen space that will be put up to replace the one at the back of the park that will be moved to make way for the expansion project.
Yes, thank you, Service Director Hyman. And also, we've got a request for qualifications that went out September 3rd. We hope to get them back by September. I think it's either the 23rd or 24th to evaluate those. And as Council Member Smith knows, that's a very large shelter that was really greatly used in the community, and we're losing that. But our opportunity now is to design a new shelter that'll have a kitchen and restrooms. That shelter is 24 feet by 120 feet long. That was a large structure that accommodated a lot of people to use, and that's what's exciting now. We can look at more of a modern design and figure out where we're going to put it on the Crenshaw parcel. That'll actually provide more use, I think, with Peel Coleman, with us managing Peel Coleman for summer camps and other activities out behind the center. So I'm excited about that also. Thank you.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Hearing none, we'll sign it out. It is 6:24. That concludes finance.
What'd you say, 624, call personnel. This is an ordinance authorizing the hiring of Mr. Derek Loy to fill the position of supervisor of pump and supply maintenance in the water department at an annual salary of $70,000 and declaring the same to be an emergency. Dr. Hyman?
Majority Leader, just to clarify, it's 724?
That's what I said, didn't I? 724?
Okay,
Yeah.
just to clarify.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman, members of council, this is a follow-up to Ordinance 89/2021 that was passed several months back. One component of that ordinance was to create a secondary slot in the Water Department Supervisor of Pump and Supply Maintenance, to create a second position for that role, as our current person will be retiring in 2022. This is a critical position who's on call 24/7, who is ultimately responsible for the maintenance and operation of the 3 water treatment plants and related systems. We posted the position, and we honestly thought we might have some trouble filling this particular slot, but we're pleasantly surprised that we had a good slate of candidates, and Mr. Loy, who comes to us from the Sheriff's Department, has a great background with facilities maintenance and experience with these types of things, and we are very excited to get him on. So we look at the salary, and we're offering, and we offered a salary of $70,000. This is similar to what other folks in similar positions make throughout the city. And in order to move forward with this, we need council authorization. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I know Superintendent Converse is also on the call.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Director. We'll sign this out at 7:27. That concludes personnel.
Annexation. This is number 10 on your agenda. It is a resolution approving a statement of services to provided to the property owners in the Broadway Avenue 2021 annexation area. The approximate date of services will be provided, procedure to reconcile incompatible zoning issues upon being annexed to the city of Canton and declaring the same to be an emergency. Questions or concerns on this annexation? Hearing none, we will sign it out at 7:28. Thank you very much.
728, this is ordinance number 8 on your agenda. An ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service for their designee to establish the fair market value of real property, enter into agreements for the purchase acquisition of these parcels, enter into agreements for the sale or donation of city-owned property for permanent road right-of-way, utility easements and/or temporary construction easements for the Allen Avenue Southeast Area Sanitary Sewer and Water Line Project GP 1332 and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, back on the August 9th meeting, we discussed the Allen Avenue Southeast Sanitary Sewer and Water Line Project. At that time, made reference to the fact that there were just a couple of small easement and acquisition issues to get through, and we would come back to council at a later date for those. Attached to the communication ordinance are 2 small easements. There's 2 sewer easements and 1 temporary easement, and so passing this will allow us to move forward with this very large project.
Questions or concerns? Hearing none, we'll sign this out at 7:30.
Council is reconvening after the recess. Leader Babcock.
Mr. President, I move we suspend Rule 22A to place ordinances 7 through 11 back on this evening's agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend Rule 22A to place ordinances 7 through 11 back on this evening's agenda. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock.
Aye.
Schulman. Aye. Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough. Aye. Smith.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Mariel.
Aye.
8 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries, and ordinances 7 through 11 are a legal part of your agenda. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we suspend the statutory rules on ordinances 7 through 11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the statutory rules on ordinances 7 through 11. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock?
Aye.
Shulman? Hawk? Kimbrough? Smith? Fisher? Hall? Merrill? 8 yeas, Mr. President.
You've heard the 3 readings, Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 7.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 7. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock?
Aye.
Shulman? Hawk? Kimbrough? Smith? Fisher? Hall? Merrill? 8 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 7 is adopted. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 8.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 8. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock?
Aye.
Shulman? Hawk? Kimbrough? Smith? Fisher? Hall? Merrill? 8 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 8 is adopted. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 9.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 9. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock?
Aye.
Shulman? Hawk? Kimbrough? Smith? Fisher? Hall? Merrill? 8 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 9 is adopted. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 10.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 10. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock?
Aye.
Shulman? Hawk? Kimbrough? Smith? Fisher? Hall? Merrill? 8 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 10 is adopted. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 11.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 11. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock?
Aye.
Shulman? Hawk? Kimbrough? Smith? Fisher? Hall? Merrill? 8 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 11 is adopted. We are now under ordinances and formal resolutions for their second reading. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we reconsider ordinances number 170/2021 adopted on August 23rd, 2021.
It's been moved and seconded to reconsider ordinances 170/2021 adopted on August 23rd, 2021. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock?
Aye.
Shulman? Hawk? Kimbrough? Smith? Fisher? Hall? Merrill? 8 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries. Leader Babcock.
Mr. President, I move we amend ordinance number 170/2021 for copy before each council member.
It's been moved and seconded to amend ordinance 170/2021 per the copy before each of you. Are there any remarks?
Mr. President,
Member Merrill.
what is different with this amendment?
Mr. Chairman, this is just clarifying, I believe, the amount of interest that was to be transferred from the COVID 2772 fund to the general fund. It's more of just an accounting of the final activity to make this transfer from the COVID 2772 BJA fund to the general fund.
Thank you.
Thank you, Finance Director. Are there any other remarks? Hearing none by voice vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 170/2021 as amended.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance 170/2021 as amended. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock?
Aye.
Shulman? Hawk? Kimbrough? Smith? Fisher? Hall? Merrill? 8 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance 170/2021 as amended is adopted. Madam Clerk, would you please read ordinance number 13, please?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public safety to enter into a parking incentive agreement with Parcher Realty Team Howard Hanna and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 14 was retained in committee. 15, an ordinance amending appropriation ordinance number 49/2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 16, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to advertise, receive bids, award, and enter into contract for the sale of city-owned real property no longer needed for municipal purposes located at Stark County Auditor Parcel Number 226530 and to enter into all contracts necessary to facilitate said sale and declaring the same to be an emergency.
We are now under ordinances and formal resolutions for their third, final reading and vote. Madam Clerk, would you please begin with ordinance number 17?
An ordinance vacating two unnamed alleys, one 10-foot to 12-foot wide and the other 12-foot wide, in a portion of 5th Street Northeast, and accepting the replat of lots 3548, 3549, 3556 through 3558, 42875 through 42877, 6970 through 6974, and part of lots 3559, 6934, 30473, and 30474, and the vacated portions of two unnamed alleys and 5th Street Northeast, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 17.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 17. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. 8 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 17 is adopted. Ordinance number 18, please.
An ordinance approving and accepting the replat of lot 43013 and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 18.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 18. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock. Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. 8 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 18 is adopted. Ordinance number 19, please.
An ordinance approving and accepting the replat of lots 2216 and 2217 and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 19.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 19. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. 8 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 19 is adopted. Ordinance number 20, please.
An ordinance approving and accepting the replat of part of Outlot 241 and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 20.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 20. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock. Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. 8 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 20 is adopted. Ordinance number 21, please.
An ordinance approving and adopting the Canton Neighborhood Development Master Plan and redevelopment strategy and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 21.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 21. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock. Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. 8 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 21 is adopted. Ordinance number 22, please.
An ordinance amending Exhibit A to ordinance number 40, 2000 as amended, the classification plan for bargaining unit personnel employed by the City of Canton and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 22.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 22. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. 8 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 22 is adopted. We're now under announcement of committee meetings. Our next meeting date will be Monday, September 27th, 2021. And I believe Maureen Austin from Community Building Partnership will be giving a 15-minute presentation at that time. So committee will start at 6:15 p.m.
Mr. President,
Member Merrill.
Finance will meet September 27th at 6:15 here in council chambers.
Thank you, Member Merrill.
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Babcock. Mr. President.
Member Hawk.
Annexation Committee will meet Monday, September 27th at 6:15. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Hawk.
Mr. President.
Member Babcock.
Personnel will meet September 27th at 5 o'clock and 6:15 for our regular meeting.
Thank you, Member Babcock.
CNED.
CD.
CD will also meet at the same time, same place.
Thank you, Member Smith.
CPCI.
And PPCI. Member Hawk. Public Property Capital.
Public Property and Capital Improvement will meet same place, same time, same place. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Hawk. We're now under miscellaneous business. Is there any miscellaneous business for this evening?
Yes, Mr. President. Oh, go ahead, Mayor.
Mayor? Or Member Smith?
Okay, yes. Mr. President, I just wanted to speak on some things that I observed over the HBCU weekend. First of all, I'd like to thank all of those that participated, but it just seems to me I don't know whether to say it's a division there or what have you, but what I noticed is that the participation out of everyone in the city was not present. And I think that says something about us as a council, us as a city, and I don't just mean council persons, I mean even elected officials, city officials that work for the city. Because it's a city thing. Just because it says HBCU, it's just the same as the Hall of Fame. And we all participate when it comes to that. And I just wish that in the future, when we have things such as the HBCU and anything that we have within the city, that if all of us could participate. It looks good when you have out-of-towners come to your city and a lot of city representatives are not there. And I speak on that also on behalf of the Centennial Plaza. Those of you that was there and saw that Marvin Sapp was there, and I think a lot of people even said that that was one of the largest crowds that they have had. I think that being that the city and our residents voted for that Centennial Plaza, I think it should be utilized in a diverse manner with anything that we do within the city. And when we do things collectively, it looks good. One of our commercials stated to sell Canton And that's what we all should be doing to sell our city, especially when we have so many people that came from out of town just to visit our city. And it was well attended, but it could have been better. I just would like to see each and every one of us participate in whatever we have going for our city. Thank you. And once again, I thank those that did participate and those that came out for the HBCU celebration, and it was a grand time. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Smith. Is there anything else under miscellaneous business, Mayor?
Mr. President and members of council, first, regarding Historic Black Colleges and Universities Weekend, I think I probably attended almost every event or every event. I think that many members of my cabinet were at most of those events also, but we thought that it was a really well-executed, well-attended, spectacular weekend for Canton. I think we have to remember, Member Smith, that this is really the only second time that we have done it, and we had to, and a lot of work was done by the various organizations, and I think there were 22 subcommittees and so forth to put this together, and some of the events were changed from 2 years ago, which was the first year in 2019, and of course we didn't do it last year because of COVID. So I think that we have a great agenda going forward. I think that everything that I attended was well attended, but again, we always want and hope to have better attendance, but again, the Marvin Sapp concert, for example, that was probably the largest crowd that we've seen at Centennial Plaza for a concert. We've had some larger First Fridays and other things. I think the First Friday that night was huge, that weekend also. So football attendance, it was a really, really well-attended game. And again, it could be better, but I think for the second go-round, it's hard to compare that to the enshrinement only because we've been doing the enshrinement for 50 years with continual and constant improvements and so forth. But again, I do urge everyone for that event and for all of our events for everybody to participate, which brings me and so I congratulate everyone with that though. Which brings me to a second thing related to that. This past Saturday, 9/11 was the firefighters' memorial climb at McKinley Monument. And again, that was the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Many cities around the country had similar memorial climbs. It's a symbolic climb of the number of steps that the firefighters at the World Trade Centers walked, and there were 343 firefighters from New York City that, lost their lives. It was a beautiful ceremony. It was emotional. It was solemn. It was heartwarming. Tears in many people's or everyone's eyes. Great turnout by the various fire departments from around Stark County and even into Summit County. I hope you saw the picture in the repository of the firefighters leading that walk up the stairs. But again, there were probably 500 people there who walked those stairs. And again, as Chris has said, we would ask for it and hope for in the future, more attendance by all elected city officials. And speaking then of attendance at events, this Saturday, September the 18th, we will be celebrating the opening of Centennial Plaza. It is a public event. There is also a thank you for donors, but it is a public celebration. It is a day on which the Buckeyes play on a big screen, and the attendance for the Buckeyes and the Browns yesterday, by the way, again, they had a great crowd downtown yesterday for the Browns tailgate also, so we were really pleased by that. But the Buckeyes play Tulsa at 3:30 to 7:30. It is a family day. There will be food trucks. There will be family entertainment, face painting, balloon twisting, things of that nature. At 7:30, Jimmy and the Soul Blazers will play. At 9 o'clock, we will have fireworks. So again, I urge everybody to attend, and please tell others in your wards and on your Facebook pages to attend also, because this is our Central Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there any other miscellaneous business for this evening? I would like to thank you for doing a great job tonight, Madam Clerk, on your first council meeting tonight. Congratulations. Leader Babcock. Yeah, we'll give her a applause. There you go.
I'm waiting on our quote from our new clerk.
Oh, no.
All right, Mr. President, I move we adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Babcock. Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. 8 yeas, Mr. President.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming this evening.